Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you guys are at. I hope you have a fantastic day. It's SoulSaint here, and love is in the air. Or is it? I'm not entirely sure, but I believe we have our newest couple joining us in the fray for the month of February. That's right, for 2025, we have Esme the Dancer, along with one other, which we'll bring up here just shortly. But I want to start with the dancer herself and see what you guys think about her, and also give you guys a notice that this is going to be our fusion for the month. That's right, you heard it right, our fusion for February. We're going to get Esme the Dancer. So, is she worth it? Well, let's find out. She is a legendary force support. That's going to be a little interesting here. We got a little bit more red love over there, you know? Her A1 is going to be Blade Juggler. Attacks one enemy, places a 50% increased attack on all allies for one turn, and of course the damage scaling of this ability is increased as you book her. Her Earth Dancer, it's a 4-turn cooldown at base, bookable down to a 3-turn cooldown, has a 75% chance after attacks all enemies, has a 75% chance of placing a 25% weaken, and a block buff debuff for 2 turns. Also decreases the turn meter of all enemies by 20% if Moto of the Peel is on the same team. You heard it right. Moto of the Peel is on the same team, steals 20% of each enemy's turn meter instead. So not bad on top of that. It is going to have a chance to give 100% on both of the debuffs once it's fully booked. Pretty solid. A little bit of everything on there. You got a little bit of attack. You got weakened block buffs, and then of course turn meter decrease. And then it's gonna be instead of decreasing, stealing with Moto, who's gonna be her partner too as well. On top of that, so Blessings of the Sands is gonna be the A3, a 5-turn cooldown, bookable down to a 4-turn cooldown. Places increased accuracy, increased speed for 2 turns on all allies, has a 75% chance of removing all buffs, so a buff stripper. Also, on top of that, if Moto's on the team, it steals those instead. So a little bit of a conundrum there. Instead of decreasing turn meter, you get steal with the A2, and now with the A3, you get removing that turns into stealing. So pretty interesting. Beguiling Moves, it's her passive. It's gonna be 2 effects on it. One is gonna have a cooldown on it, the other one not so much. When it hit, has a 50% chance of randomly changing the attacker's critical hits to weak, normal, or strong hits. If Moto is on the team, chance increases to 30% instead. And then, of course, the active effect is going to be whenever this champion is hit, increase the turn meter of the ally with the highest attack by 50%. And then, of course, an aura by speed, increasing to 19% on top of that. To end this off, this is your new February Fusion champion, Esma. How do I feel about it? I think separately and in partnership with her, it's pretty decent. I mean, weaken and block buffs is really great for Hydra. Increased attack speed is great to set up your champions that are going to be like your big nukers. Being able to give increased accuracy and speed are great buffs in a lot of different areas, including Hydra. And then, of course, having the ability to not only remove, but when partnered, being able to steal is pretty decent. It's not bad at all. I think that this is a solid champion. Maybe not the end-all be-all, and maybe not overly powerful. I think the partnership is kind of interesting where it changes the dynamic of what she does, but also maybe gives you a little bit more on top of that. You know, decreasing turn meter is already a great amount of a W in a sense against enemies, but being able to steal it instead, turning that into your own turn meter is really good. Removing and stealing buffs, also really good, you know? Not too bad. Now, I wanted to show you guys what she looks like. She's a really, really cool looking champion here. I'm going to disappear for a moment. She is a barbarian, as you guys can obviously see. Her design, just like how Plarium and the development team that designs these champions, they do not miss the mark, man. Really, really cool champion here to really enjoy. And honestly, I think she looks awesome. Looks like a warrior that you don't want to go against too much, you know? With that axe in the hand, that's not bad at all. Now, with that being said, I did want to kind of pivot here. We're going to go ahead and talk about her partner in crime in this one, the couple bonus synergy. It's Moto of the Peel. He is a Ogrin, oddly enough. It's not the same faction. A legendary attack type Force champion. So more love for the Force guys on the house here. Skull Clapper, the A1, attacks one enemy 2 times, has a 50% chance of placing a 60 decreased defense debuff for 2 turns. This damage is increased by 20%, and of course the debuff chance is increased by 20% when it's fully booked. Ear Splitter, it's a 4-turn cooldown, bookable down to a 3-turn cooldown, attacks all enemies, has a 75% chance, bookable up to 100, to stun, place a stun debuff for 1 turn, so AoE stun. Places an extra a hit on enemies under stun. So if Esme the Dancer is on the same team, will always place that extra hit instead, and also places does a 20% ignore on top of that. So a pretty decent hitter. We expect this Ear Splitter to pack a pretty decent punch. Peel of Breaking, the A3, is going to be a 5-turn cooldown, bookable down to a 4-turn cooldown. Attacks all enemies, will ignore shield buffs, just straight out ignores. Damage increases by 75% when attacking enemies under Stone Skin. Very interesting. It's also 100% when booked. Not 100%, but sorry, it increases damage by another 20% on top of that. My bad. But the damage is increased by 75% by enemies that are under Stone Skin. That's pretty unique. If this attack removes 1 or more Stone Skin, grants this champion an extra turn. I think this one also is probably, we're going to have the expectation is going to have pretty good multipliers on top of that. Now, whenever this champion, this is Beloved Companion of the passive, kills an enemy, whenever he kills an enemy, places a stun debuff on the enemy with the highest turn meter. For 2 turns, it's pretty decent on the duration, occurs once per skill. If Esme the Dancer is on the same team, this champion skill will ignore 50% of the enemy's resistance, or each enemy's resistance. Also, if she's on the same team as well, places an intercept stack on this champion at the start of their turn. Now, this is really, really important, but I'm gonna finish it off. The aura, increase ally attack in all battles by 30%. Pretty solid, pretty standard. A little bit on the average side, I would say, in terms of the aura. But here's the key thing about this. So, one, I think he does pretty decent damage. I think that's kind of to be expected, is what we're going to be kind of looking for from him. I also think that the interaction with Stone Skin is going to be very interesting. He's going to have to be able to crack some roots, for lack of better words, if you know what I'm getting at, in order to get through the Stone Skin. But when he does, you have the opening to being able to control the tempo of the fight. One thing that's a bit of a concern about this is that Polymorph is very existent in this particular meta. And stuns are CC that is subjective to being polymorphed, right? So having Esme on the team, which only amplifies his kit even more, gives you intercept stack, which is great. It's great at the start of the turn. So if you're not running intercept, or in this particular case pinpoint, you can still go damage and still get that intercept stack with Esme in play, along with some like maybe some blessings like cracking roots, which does even more damage to, or equivalent damage to what you would normally do to a regular champion, can let you get through that Stone Skin pretty quickly, allowing you to set up for that A2, the Ear Splitter. So if you got this pretty squishy damage dealer on the enemy team that you're able to break through the Stone Skin, with the said synergies in mind, it opens up the turn for you to get that extra turn to Ear Split on top of that. Now, if you're clearing everybody's Stone Skin, then you're really in the money and you got something going on. And I think this is kind of interesting too, because he has Force Affinity. A lot of the support champions, minus 1 or 2, that you may kind of have some caveats for, they're pretty much magic oriented, so he has positive affinity there. And then even with the stronger oriented champions that are not magic, like Force, for example, think Galathi or Arbaeus to name a few, he's still kind of neutral affinity, so you got some value there. Now, there are some spirit ones you got to watch out for that he could maybe weak hit towards, but even then, you know, some pretty solid synergies. Now, I wanted to show you how he looks on this particular look here. We're going to go ahead and flip over to him. He actually is very, very interesting. I love the way his hammer looks. It's really, really cool. He's got a little knee tattoo there with the skull with the crown on it, as well as some arm tattoos. And then you also see the bells behind him with what looks like to be like a shrine almost. So really, really cool. I won't lie. These guys kind of look very, very similar. They kind of remind me of something.
By the way, great mask.
Nah, couldn't be, right? Couldn't be. Anyways, with that being said, you guys let me know what you guys think about these champions. I think it's very exciting to see a new couple in play. I'm very curious to see if you guys think that this is going to be the new cream of the crop with being able to kind of puncture through Stone Skin. Maybe this is a new way, a new approach, perhaps, to get through it. So, with that being said, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and as always, always remember, stay ascended.
Got the you with the so it's like it's gonna start.